That's the first step, to share what is happening from the ground. And then, of course, we won't convince those that are filled with hate and don't want to listen. But we will convince many, which is the majority of those that are in the middle, they just don't know, okay? And then those that are standing with us, like you, I mean, if we share the truth, if we pray for the situation, we need to make a decision. Are we on the side of good, or are we on the side of evil? That's what also God told us to do. I mean, we can't just be neutral anymore.
I'd add to that one more thought, which is people in the West often value, myself included sometimes, we value comfort over the right thing. And the opinion thing goes in line with that, which is people adopt opinions that allow them to feel comfortable with who they are and what they do. So they choose to ignore the facts that make them uncomfortable. For instance, acknowledging that there is good and bad in the world. Because if you acknowledge that there is a good and there is an evil, then you have to call the evil, evil, and you have to call the good, good. And that's going to create some very uncomfortable conversations around you, especially if you're facing people that are evil.
Yeah.
So that's part of that. So they choose this wishy-washy, like unclear opinion on things. Well, look, there's truth on both sides. No, there isn't. There are media outlets that outright lie on a regular basis. It's malicious. It's malicious. Al Jazeera, BBC, where in their reporting there is no Hamas.
Yeah.
Hamas doesn't exist in their reporting. That's not a mistake. That's not editorial, sort of like something that they missed. It's intentional. Mm-hmm. It's malicious and it's planned. And people look at that, they say, no, they couldn't possibly be evil. No, human evil exists. Human good exists. You have to acknowledge that and recognize that. And it's much more comfortable for people on many levels to just say, no, the Jews are the source of all the problems, versus saying, no, Islam is a disease in the Middle East, especially radical Islam. There are a lot of good Muslims, but as a government and under radical Islam, it's the people that brought you things like ISIS, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Iranian government for over 40 years, 45 years at this point. That's what it's brought forth. You have to be able to say those kind of things, and it makes people incredibly uncomfortable to say such, let's call it exclamation mark statements. It's not PC, it makes for an unpleasant work environment. Their cousin gets angry at them at Thanksgiving dinner. But if you believe in something that's true, you have to stand up for it. And if you don't, then what value do your values carry if you're not able to speak on what's right and wrong?
And I think a lot of times it's just a politicized, where, in our country, we haven't seen this kind of war and violence.
Yeah.
And so it's all, political talk. It doesn't become...
personal when somebody
exactly.
launches a rocket at your house.
Exactly. And that's what coming here does for you. Mm-hmm. You see it's very personal.
I love that you said that.
And that it could be on our doorstep anytime. And I think that makes a whole difference in the way you look at everything.
What's your name?
Gail.
Gail. That's already happened in Europe, what you're describing.
Yes.
People talk about it's not what's the expression in English? NIMBY? Not in my backyard.
Yeah.
So people say, radical Islam is not a problem of Europe, it's a problem of Israel. Let them deal with it. Okay, you chose not to deal with it, came to your doorstep. Now you have, and I could do 2 hours of talking about this.
Definitely.
You have terrorists blowing up in major European cities.
Or car ramming attacks.
Driving through crowds on Christmas markets, systematically raping women because of ethnicity and religion. And now it's not PC to talk about it, so you can't even deal with the core issue. Mm-hmm. So when you lose the moral compass of being able to clearly state this is good and this is bad, and also to say, well, I also want to take care of my kind in a way that protects them, then what are you left with?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting place to be in.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yisrael Chai, the children of Israel still liveth.